Ladies and gentlemen, a graduation with 0 guests, my uncle said while filming me in the empty hall I paid for. Mom texted, "We're at your brother's housewarming. Don't be salty. Love you." Then Dad added, "Catering's on your card. Just $5,600. I forgot mine." I said, "Nothing. Just send a thumbs up." An hour later, I ordered a delivery to my brother's new home. They smiled until they read the note. Then the calls started. My name's Charlotte. I'm 27, first in my family to finish college, and the oldest kid who learned early how to juggle bills, side gigs, and the role of unofficial help desk for everyone's phones. I'm the one who stays late, who double checks flight times, who books the venue because, I know how to do that stuff. I don't drink much. I track receipts, and I keep spare batteries in my backpack like it's a religion. I'm also the kid they forget to clap for. That morning, I buttoned my gown with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. I'd rented the small campus hall for an hour after the ceremony. Nothing extravagant, just a clean room with folding chairs, a Bluetooth speaker, coffee urns, and the sheet cake I bought with my last overtime check. I set up the phone tripod near the stage and laid out programs with my name spelled right. It felt stupidly hopeful. I stood under the fluorescent lights and took a breath that tasted like lemon cleaner. The custodial guy gave me a thumbs up and said, "Congrats, boss." I smiled like I believed him. 5 minutes passed. 10 students drifted by with parents and balloons. Each wave felt like a reminder. Each hug like a mirror I couldn't step into. My phone stayed stubbornly quiet. The group chat where my family normally spam brunch photos turned into a dead blue bubble. Ladies and gentlemen, a graduation with 0 guests. My uncle said way too loud as he filmed me from the doorway like I was a UFO sighting. He panned across the empty chairs and whistled. Historic. I stared at the lens. My throat went dry. He laughed. "I'm just kidding, kiddo. They're running late." He said it like late was a place you could live. I checked my phone. A new text from Mom lit the screen. "We're at your brother's housewarming. Don't be salty. Love you." The typing bubbles popped up again. Another message followed before I finished reading the first. "Dad, catering's on your card. Just $5,600. I forgot mine." My hand tightened around the phone. The screen blurred, then snapped back. I felt the stupidly careful tape holding the sheet cake box pull like it might give just from the air. Uncle kept filming. "Smile." I did not smile. I looked at the stage, the cheap banner with my name, the empty rows I had paid for seat by seat. I thought about the way Mom always said, "Family shows up. That's what matters." I thought about last month when I fixed Dad's email while he told me I should take fewer electives and more real classes. I thought about my brother getting a new TV the week I asked if anyone could help with textbooks. The lights hummed. Somewhere down the hall, a janitor's cart squeaked. "Say something," Uncle said, lowering his phone a fraction. "For the vlog." "Vlog like it's a diagnosis. I'll send the link," I said. He winked. "There you go." I sat on the edge of the stage. I imagined my family arriving late with a dramatic flourish, claiming traffic or parking or a wrong turn. I pictured them laughing and hugging me like the last hour hadn't happened. My chest hurt with how real the imaginary felt. 3 more texts landed. Aunt Lena sent a balloon emoji. My brother sent a boomerang of champagne popping in his new kitchen. Mom sent a photo of a cheese board with the caption, "Proud of you." The cheese board was in focus. The "you" was not. I breathed in. Out. The air smelled like sugar and dust. "Want me to cut the cake?" Uncle asked. "Not yet," I said. He checked his watch. "I can't stay long. Traffic." "Uh-huh." I stood up and adjusted the banner because that's what I do when things are breaking. I straighten smaller things and pretend it helps. The Bluetooth speaker reconnected itself with a cheerful chime. Somewhere in the building, another family cheered. My hands started to shake again, this time with a colder kind of energy. I put the phone face down. I didn't answer anyone. I didn't ask them to come. I didn't beg. I just listened to the fluorescent buzz and the tiny, sharp sound of my heart trying to be quiet. Uncle filmed the last slow pan and said, soft enough that I almost missed it, "Tough crowd." I nodded. "Yeah." He left. The door clicked shut and the empty room felt like a statement. I stared at the cake. I thought about slicing it into perfect rectangles and boxing it, like closeness could be rationed if you cut carefully. I didn't move. When the hour ended, I stacked the chairs I'd set out for them. I folded the banner and slipped it into my backpack with the carefulness you use for souvenirs. I walked to the door, turned off the light, and let the dark tell the truth the group chat wouldn't. I didn't cry. I didn't post. I just stood in the hallway and let the silence settle over me like a coat I should have put on years ago. My family's thing has always been pretending the barn is not on fire while asking me to hold the hose and pay the water bill. Mom says I'm good with money, which in our house translates to you absorb the hit. Dad calls me responsible, which means he expects me to be uncomplaining scaffolding around other people's choices. My brother Nico calls me bank. Sometimes he says it as a joke. Sometimes he forgets to laugh. It started small. Gas money just this once. A phone bill that somehow didn't auto-pay. A deposit for Mom's dental crown that the insurance will reimburse next month. Next month became a lifestyle, then a tradition, then a rule I wasn't allowed to quit. When I got my first campus job, Dad asked for my routing number to set up transfers in case of emergencies. The emergencies always happened on weekends and during sales. Nico switched phones 3 times in 1 year because the camera wasn't catching light right. My name was on 2 family lines, 1 gym membership, and the Costco card. When I pointed out that I was also paying rent, tuition, and for the summer class that would actually let me graduate on time, Mom blinked like I told her water was wet. We're family, she said. We help. I learned not to argue. If I pushed back, the vocabulary changed. Ungrateful, dramatic, selfish. If I stayed quiet, the vocabulary changed too. Proud, our rock, such a giver. The praise was always a receipt for a future charge. When Nico got his promotion at the dealership, a job Dad found after 3 other jobs didn't align, we threw him a party in the backyard. I grilled. I bought the string lights. I Venmo'd the neighbor for the extra tables. At midnight, Nico took a shot and said, "Hate to ask, Bank, but rinse tight this month." He set it into my hair like it was a toast. 2 months later, when I needed $120 for a lab fee, I texted the group chat. "Anyone able to spot me? I can pay back after I pick up extra shifts." Mom replied, "Don't make this about money." Dad sent, "You should plan better." Nico didn't respond. That evening, he posted a photo of new sneakers with the caption, "Had to." We don't do conversations, we do noise. When I try to talk about boundaries, Mom says, "After everything we've done for you, don't be difficult." The piano lessons I hated, the roof over my head, the winter she drove me to standardized tests at 6:00 a.m. I am grateful for all of it, and I'm also tired of paying interest forever on a debt that has no end. I used to think graduation would reset the math. I'd walk across a stage, a registrar would hand me a piece of paper, and the story would finally change. "We're proud you did it. We'll come to you this time." Instead, Nico scheduled his housewarming for the same day. He said the date was locked with the caterer and everyone already RSVP'd. As if that surprised him, as if everyone didn't include the people who share my last name. A week before the ceremony, I reminded the group chat. "Graduation is Saturday at 10 o'clock. Reception after I rented the hall." I added confetti because I am, despite all evidence, a hopeful idiot. Nico replied, "Oops, housewarming starts at noon. We'll swing by if we can. Mom, don't be rigid. It's just a walk across the stage. Dad, Charlotte, don't start. We'll see you later." Later in our family is a place that lives right next to never. That night, I printed my name on small place cards in neat letters and packed plastic forks. I ironed the gown I'd borrowed from a friend. I made a playlist so the room wouldn't feel hollow while people hugged me. The day came. You know the rest. Empty hall, Uncle's camera, Omengama, Mom's text from a kitchen island that wasn't mine. The money part hit me slower than the silence did. At first, Dad's message, "Catering's on your card," felt like a typo, a bad joke he'd fix with, "Haha, my bad." Then I remembered last month he'd asked for my new card to book my cap and gown because the website was weird on my laptop. I'd hung up feeling warm and included. He'd taken a photo of my card on the dining room table so he wouldn't misplace it. I told myself it was fine because it was just for the fee. If you have never had the sick, weightless feeling of knowing a number that belongs to you is currently feeding someone else's mouth, let me tell you, your ribcage hears it first. I didn't write back. I didn't say no. I didn't say anything. My brain did the math in the background like a bad app. $5,600 is rent for months. It's a car that starts. It's the interest I've been trying to outrun with side shifts that make my eyes burn. On the walk home from the hall, tassel dangling stupidly against my shoulder, I scrolled through Nico's stories. New couch, new TV, people cheering under string lights. He captioned one clip, "Family first." Mom commented, "Always." Dad added a fire emoji. I put the phone down and stared at the wall. I tried to breathe in a way that didn't sound like pleading. My aunt called. "Saw the stories," she said softly. "How are you?" "Fine," I lied. "Your mom says you're being sensitive." "Uh-huh." She also said to tell me not to embarrass them with a scene. I looked at my empty kitchen. I'm not at their party, right? My aunt said that's why they're worried. That night, I spread out a stack of bank statements on my table like a map. My name, their charges, my card, their dinners. I highlighted dates with a dull yellow pen that squeaked on the paper. I could hear my own breath go thin. There are moments when your life politely taps your shoulder and asks for your attention. Then there are moments when it grabs your face. This one did both. I thought about every little sure, every it's fine, every don't worry about it, and how those words had paved a road right to an empty hall I paid for. Nico posted a boomerang of people clinking glasses. My mom wrote, "So proud of what we built." I laughed out loud, a small bark that surprised me. I opened the family group chat. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I typed nothing. I deleted nothing. I stared until the screen dimmed and showed me my own face, tired and too old around the eyes. Then I flipped the statements to the back. I wrote a sentence on a sticky note, simple and true. I tucked it into my pocket like a switch I wasn't ready to flip. By noon, the housewarming was at full roar. My notifications pulsed like a migraine. Living room walkthroughs, pantry tours, a slow zoom on a charcuterie board big enough to moonlight as a coffee table. Nico filmed himself opening my gift, which was actually the air fryer I'd bought him 2 months earlier when he said his oven ran hot. He held it up and shouted, "Bank came through." He winked at the camera. Kidding, kind of. I sat on my apartment floor with the statements in a neat stack and my laptop opened to my bank's fraud page. Then I closed it. I wasn't ready to be a story where I quietly fix it and nobody learns anything. I ordered a delivery to my brother's new home. Not pizza, not flowers. I ordered 6 plain shipping boxes from the same rental company that had delivered his bar stools. Inside each box, I placed copies, full color, tabbed, of every charge I'd covered for the last 4 years. Rent floats, phones, the dentist, the emergencies, the whoops. Every transfer, every text where someone wrote, "We'll pay you back." On top, I set a laminated 1-page summary. Totals by person, totals by category, totals by month. At the bottom, I printed a QR code that linked to a Google Drive folder labeled receipts. And then the note, the same sentence I'd written in tiny letters the night before. I printed it big this time. "This is the last thing I will ever pay for." The courier asked if I wanted a gift message. I said yes. I typed, "Congratulations on your new home. Return what you owe to the address on file. Charlotte." An hour later, Nico posted a video of the boxes arriving. People cheered like it was furniture. He cut the tape open with a butter knife. Still filming, still grinning. The grin froze when he saw the first page. Someone off camera said, "Dude." Another voice laughed, then didn't. The room went quiet. He flipped through page after page. The camera shook, then blinked out. 30 seconds later, Mom called. I let it ring out. She texted, "What is this? Take it back. You are ruining your brother's day. Dad, we need to talk now. Nico, what is wrong with you?" I didn't answer. Instead, I opened the family group chat, attached the summary PDF, and wrote one sentence. Effective today, my cards are frozen, my accounts are locked, and my number is no longer available for emergencies. Mom replied instantly, "Don't be dramatic." Dad wrote, "Your mother is crying. Fix this." A cousin I hadn't heard from in months chimed in with, "Wow, harsh." I took a photo of this cake that was still in my fridge, untouched except for one fork line across the frosting where my hand had slipped. I didn't send it. I didn't send anything. The phone rang again. At Lena, I picked up. "Are you safe?" she asked quietly. "Yeah, I saw the PDF." She let out a low whistle. "That's not petty. That's a ledger." I'm done. I said. She paused. They're about to turn you into the villain in a movie they wrote years ago. Keep everything. Screenshots, voicemails, dates. I have them, I said. And I did. I'd labeled folders. I'd learned from being the person who remembers where the batteries are. The group chat began to flood. 3-speaker arguments. Mom calling me by my full name like she does when she wants me small. Dad invoking respect. Nico saying over and over, family doesn't do this. I opened my bank app. I reported fraud on the catering charge. I added a note. Card photographed without permission. Merchant confirmed new card number was used for phone authorization by a third party. I changed my PIN. I turned off tap to pay. I requested a new card to a P.O. box I'd opened last month because some scared part of me had known. Finally, I wrote to the chat. Pick up the boxes. Keep the copies. The originals are mine. Mom responded, you always wanted to embarrass us. On your graduation day, no less. I stared at that sentence so long it went fuzzy. Then I typed, you were not there. I sent it. I put the phone face down. I listened to the quiet. 5 minutes later, my father called from an unknown number. I answered. He didn't say hello. Did you think this through? He asked. Or did you act on emotions like your mother? I thought it through, I said. Years of it. Your brother has guests, he said. Important people. You made him look like a fool. He did that when he opened a box labeled receipts. Dad's breath hitched. The almost laugh he does when he's looking for the upper hand. You think you're better than us now? A diploma won't change your blood. No, I said. I change what my blood will pay for. He hung up. I stared at the wall until the paint looked like a map. Then my phone lit with a new text. This one from a number I didn't have saved. It was a photo of the laminated summary and my note. Someone had underlined the total in red marker. Someone had added in sloppy handwriting, she's serious. Yes, I was. I thought I would feel empty. Instead, I felt quiet. Not happy, not sad, just a clean silence where clanging used to be. The first 24 hours were loud. Anyway, Mom called my aunt. My aunt called me. Dad called my boss to discuss my behavior, which my boss shut down with a brisk, we're not doing this. Nico posted a black square with the caption, some people only give to get. His friends commented fire emojis like they understood. Then came the bills. The caterer called Dad because the card declined. The rental company called because my name was on the chair invoice. Turns out Dad had put my email as the contact because I answer. I forwarded the contract with my signature circled over the words client. Nico highlighted. I CC'd their accounts person. Please direct future correspondence to the client. I wrote, this email is closing in 48 hours. I set an auto reply that said, if this is a request for money, the answer is no. Mom left me a voicemail crying so hard her words tripped. How could you do this to your brother? She asked between breaths. On his big day, I listened twice, not to hurt myself, but to hear the script she uses, the one where I'm the villain, so she doesn't have to look at the hole where compassion should be. I saved the message. I saved everything. At work on Monday, my supervisor brought in donuts with a sticky note that said, proud of you, grad. I stood in the break room and read it 3 times. The kindness loosened something in my chest I hadn't realized I'd tightened to a knot. A classmate DM'd me a photo from graduation. Me on stage, handing out, smiling like I might actually deserve the moment. She wrote, your speech was my favorite. I had not given a speech, but I screenshotted the message anyway, just to remember that someone saw me in that room. That night, I blocked half my family, not out of spite, but out of survival. I left my aunt and one cousin unblocked because they speak like humans. I muted the group chat. I turned my phone face down, and the quiet became a place I could live. On Wednesday, an envelope arrived at my P.O. box. Inside, a check from Dad for $400 with a sticky note, a token. Let's move on. He'd written it in the tough love handwriting he uses when he wants credit for being reasonable. I looked at the check for a long time, not because of the money, but because of the shape of the words. Name, token. Move on. He meant accept crumbs and pretend they're dinner. He meant forget the rest. I mailed the check back with a copy of page 1 of the summary and a polite letter. Payments should be made in full or in agreed-upon installments. Partial gestures without acknowledgement of debt will be returned. Please see itemized totals. I added a QR code again because if I've learned anything, people don't read unless the link is a big square. Nico texted from a new number. You're ruining Mom's health. Then 30 minutes later, he sent a photo of a watch with the caption, "Treat yourself when life sucks." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. A mutual friend did in his comments. Maybe treat your sister by paying her back. The comment got likes, then it got quiet. A week later, Mom called from Aunt Lena's phone. I answered because I trust Lena to hang up for me if it goes bad. Mom started soft. We're family, she said. This is ugly. This is ugly, I said. It got ugly slowly, for a long time, she sighed. Your brother is under a lot of pressure. So am I said, silence. Then you embarrassed us. You ghosted my graduation and put a $5,600 bill on my card. I kept my voice level. I returned the ghost. She switched tactics. What will people think that you got a degree? I did, and I finally learned math. She made a sound like a door closing and hung up. After that, the weather changed. Cousins started texting quietly. Not all, but enough. Hey, I saw what happened. I'm sorry. One sent $50 with a note that said, "For cake, we should have eaten." I cried then, finally, for 10 seconds in my kitchen with my forehead on the cabinet because grief leaks out of the strangest places. The day my new card arrived, I put it in my wallet and felt the tiniest click inside me. A reset you only hear when the noise stops. I made a budget labeled me. Line items, rent, savings, therapy intake, a real coffee with a friend where I don't stare at the price. It felt ridiculous and holy. I also sent Nico a formal demand letter, not from a lawyer, just from me, but with the tone of a person who could Google due dates, amounts, consequences, not threats, just boundaries with shoes on. He replied, "LOL, what are you going to do, Sue?" I archived the thread. Actions are quieter than arguments. 2 Fridays later, I went to a small backyard party thrown by my department. Someone made a toast to the grads. People clapped. It was normal and kind and so unlike my family that my body didn't know where to put the feeling. A professor who never says anything personal said, "You earned all of this." I believed her a little. At 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. A video from the housewarming popped up in my DMs. Someone had screen recorded the moment Nico opened the boxes. You can see the exact second his smile leaves. You can hear someone whisper, "That's a lot." You can watch him drop the pages like they burned. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt accurate. I went home and slept through the night for the first time in months. Here's the part I didn't expect. The emptiness the family left behind wasn't empty. It filled up fast with other things. Morning walks, a library card renewal, a stupid sitcom that made me laugh so hard I scared myself, coffee with my aunt where we didn't say the word Nico once, a LinkedIn message about an internship that turned into a job interview that turned into me crying in a bathroom stall because sometimes good news hurts when you aren't used to it. Mom sent one more message through Lena. "We miss you," she said. "Like missing me is a thing you can do without seeing me. Your brother says he'll call." I sent back 3 lines. Payments go to the P.O. box. Boundaries stay. I love you from over here. It wasn't cruel. It was clear. When the first installment from Dad finally arrived, an actual amount that had a comma in it, I took a photo of it and filed it in receipt/inbound. I posted nothing. I told no one except Lena. She replied with 3 clapping emojis and then, "Proud of you." On my fridge, I taped the laminated sentence. "This is the last thing I will ever pay for." It looked bossy and a little sad and exactly right. I keep thinking about that empty hall, the way the light hit the cake, the way the banner folded down into my backpack and came home without any fingerprints that weren't mine. For a while, that room felt like proof that I didn't matter. Now it feels like a moment I stood alone and didn't fall over. People ask what happened with my family, and I say we're taking a break. It's true. We're on a long, quiet pause, where I live like a person, and they learned that my pockets are not public property. Maybe they won't learn. That's okay. I did. The money will sort itself out by plan or by silence. Either way, I stopped paying for their lesson. I stopped paying for their applause. I stopped paying for the idea that being loved means being emptied. A week after I started my new job, the HR rep slid a paper across the desk. "Beneficiaries?" she asked. I wrote my own name on the line that used to go to family. I put Aunt Lena as the secondary. I felt the pen shake a little, then steady. If you want the moral, it's boring and solid. You get to be generous after you're safe. You get to say no without providing a tin slide deck. You get to keep your diploma and your dignity in the same folder. And when someone says, "Ladies and gentlemen, a graduation with 0 guests," you can look around the empty room and think, actually, the most important one showed up. I did.